Welcome to a new edition of the Uplift Start the Week, where we discuss subjects relevant to us women in an open and respectful manner. I am your host, Chani Schreibhand, founder and editor of the Uplift Jewish Women's Magazine. Hi, you're Jewish, you're trying to get married, you're looking all over, the shotgun's not calling, you're just not getting through to anyone. Everyone you meet is not for you, and you just don't know what to do. Well, in the Yiddish world, there are so many options available, and today we're going to talk to somebody who has one option that is actually really interesting, and her name is Denise Phillips, and she's going to be talking about something called Date on a Plate. Hi, discussing a special project that Denise has, which is called Date on a Plate. And something that she started 20 years ago. I really am excited about this, Denise. Please say hello, and we could welcome you personally to the podcast.
Hello, Chani, and hello, everybody.
Right. So, Denise, could you just tell me a little bit what Date on a Plate is all about? Because I know there's so much to it, but just give us a little synopsis of what it is.
All right. Date on a Plate is unique. Essentially, what it is events for Jewish singles, but primarily it is cookery classes. So it is divided into two sections. So I'll talk about the face-to-face cookery classes, which have been going over 20 years, different age groups and different food themes. So coming up, we've got all ages, but it is a 10-year age span. So let me explain. So we're doing events for age 25 to 70, and we have a group this coming Sunday evening for the 30 to 40, and the theme is a taste of Italy. So this is how it works. They come to my home. I'm based in Northwood. No cooking experience is required. All I ask is you turn up on time with a smile, and that's all I ask. And as they arrive, each person says a little something about themselves. Hello, my name is, perhaps what you do, where you live. And I seat them in my kitchen. We have a room for 6 men and 6 women, and they seat male, female around my kitchen, so that each person has an opportunity to chat to each other. As I said, you don't need to have any cooking skills. We cook together as a group. As a professional chef and cookery writer, I make life really easy. The whole essence of this is them to meet new people, new friends, and hopefully more. So we do nice cooking. The evening starts at 7:30, and champagne and canapes, and I make them feel relaxed, because that's what it's all about. There's so often so many people quite nervous. They may be high flyers in business. They may be, have big positions at the office, but when it comes to the social event, they could be a little bit shy and a little bit nervous. But don't worry, Denise makes it all rather easy and very relaxed.
So let me ask you something, Denise.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that started this journey? Because this is not just something that we take out of our hat and we create. I mean, there has to be some story behind it. Let's hear a little bit about the story behind it.
Okay, so I always feel this is a bittersweet situation, and out of sadness comes goodness. So very, very sadly, my first husband died June 99, and I was really very young. I had 3 children, 4, 6, and 8, and my husband died of a heart attack right next to me, acute, and just died. And that was the end of him. Really, really tragic. But life has to go on. You need to be strong. I needed to take care of my children to continue with their education. So after a little while, getting myself together, and here I am talking quite strong about the situation, but that's been a long time now. So
that's a retrospect.
Yes, not so easy then, but now I can talk with confidence that the children are fine, and thank God everything's okay. And I started the event. I was 35 years old, and to be honest, there was very little for me socially to go out. The bereavement groups, they were aimed at people, honestly, to be my grandparents. Nothing out there. The singles groups, well, it's really very hard if you've got 3 little ones, of getting a babysitter for 3 little children. So I created my own events. And this is what happened. Sunday evenings, I had to make sure that the children had had their supper 6 o'clock and they were upstairs. If they needed mummy, I was only downstairs, but ideally they were upstairs and gone to bed. And that's how it started. I started with the one age group, age 35 to about 45. And as time went on, I increased the ages and I introduced different food themes. 5 years later.
Were you a chef at that time already?
Yes, I was already cooking. I'd already published my first cookbook. I was already professionally trained. I was doing cookery classes anyway. And this became a sideline, but a sideline that actually then took off on the basis that there were lots of other single people out there, regardless of their circumstances. I was inviting people to my home. Way to anybody's heart is through their stomach, whether they can cook or couldn't cook, or they're improving their culinary skills. I was introducing a skill. I was bringing people together. It was safe. And also I put myself, because I was single at the time, shall we say, I was on the menu. And
Can we hear that? What happened with that menu?
I was on the menu, and
you met your husband?
I did meet my husband 5 years later, or now coming up for, we've been married 18 years, and
I know her.
Very happily married, and my children are all married now, and thank God everything is good. But it was a journey, and a journey that I have felt that I could share happiness for others too. And subsequently, people say to me, "Is it successful?" Well, actually, what do you mean by success of an event? I mean, after every event, there is phone calls, there's people that connect to each other, they've made new friends. We've had people over the years that are now living together. We have loads of marriages, and we even have date and plate babies.
So special. That really is such a special thing that you've created. I wonder, when people come, do you have a vetting system? How do you make sure that everyone is safe, and how do you do that?
I have an application form. I do talk to every single guest, because people find me on the internet. Who's to know who comes through? But I say I do an online event, which I briefly meant as the face-to-face. I've explained the face-to-face. But coming back to your question, even if they connect online to the online events where there is no cooking, it's more like speed dating, I chat to every single person. And I think, to be very honest, you can get a vibe about someone by talking to them on the phone, and even just to check that they're Jewish. Not that I need to check anything more than that, but even if I just say, "Oh, what shul do you belong to someone that's not Jewish, they wouldn't quite get that.
No.
So, and my events are for anyone that is Jewish, whether it's culturally or it's United Synagogue, or provided they are Jewish, I am offering them to come along. And I say we do a 10-year age span, so that's 25 to 35, and we actually go up to age 70. So I've got the 60s to 70s coming up. I have an event which happens to be online. And here, the online, what that means is they connect on Zoom, and I facilitate it so that it is breakout rooms, which I do for them. And it means that you get a 6-minute private conversation with each of the guests, so that what happens is they chat to everyone on a rotation, so that each male, each chats to each lady on their screen. And when the timer goes to 5 minutes, they get a 1-minute notification. They'll be coming back to the main Zoom gallery, and then we'll repeat again. I introduce a question to the group, and if they want to chat about that particular question, it's about getting to know the person. Some people are still quite shy. I might say, well, what is it that you like to do in your free time? Or what element of housework don't you like? Or are you a morning person? What kind of holiday do you like? It's just really getting them to chat about.
Just to open up.
Yeah, in a roundabout way that you would then.
I think it's like an icebreaker, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is all of that. And sometimes they don't even use that. And then they automatically come back to the main Zoom gallery at the end of the evening, of that on both events, face to face and of the online. I share the email addresses of everyone that attends. So, and I always make it clear that ladies, not necessarily up to you waiting for the guys to connect. You can be a bit more forthright. You can email the guys, but I always make it really clear that please, whatever emails go exchange, please reply. No reply, it's not a response, because otherwise I get the phone the next day. Oh, I sent an email to whoever.
And he didn't reply.
And people get really quite upset, and I understand that. So with the face-to-face events, which once they've done the cooking, they sit in the dining room and the food that created to enjoy. And after each course, the men get up and move round. So you're
So everybody
actually stuck with anyone. And coming back to how do I find the people with the application for, I'm not a dating agency, and I really make that clear. My events are not about ticking boxes, that you're tall, dark, and handsome, and wherever you live or whatever you do. To be honest, I don't think anybody knows what they want until they meet that special person. And I always say that the recipe for a romance is to be able to say, I sat and chatted to someone and I enjoyed their company. We got on. We had a nice time. I'd like to see them again.
It's interesting, it's interesting you say that, Denise, because I was just involved in doing a shidduch. I told you about this. I introduced two people to each other. And I always say the first meeting is just what you see. But to get to know the character and to get to understand who the person is, that's when you really learn who they are. So like you say, it's not a tick a box, tick a box, tick a box. You really have to give the person a chance, speak to them, see what they're about, see what their inner self is. It's not only about your outside, it's about everything. It's a whole picture. Do you agree on that?
It's definitely about that, because the shadchans, you send in the forms and all, and you're looking for someone about what they're looking for. But I can honestly say that the husband that I'm really happy, my second husband, I had no idea what I was looking for, especially other people, and perhaps they're slightly older, they're not necessarily looking to have children again.
Yeah.
They're looking for a friend to enjoy their
companionship.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that they have to fit certain criteria, other than that they're kind and nice and friendly and you get on and enjoy each other's company. You could be opposites. Come on, you're not looking for someone necessarily the same as you.
Me and my husband are very opposite. I mean, most people, I think, who get along are opposite, because it's a yin and a yang. It goes together. That's how it works. That's how
It is all of that. And what I'm providing is a safe environment. There are so many scams out there. There are so many unfortunate, unpleasant people out there.
Yeah.
And there's two things that I'm, firstly, for security. Firstly, I don't give out phone numbers to anybody of when they meet. They get emails only. So if there is someone that you actually don't want to connect with anymore, it's very easy to press block on your email. You won't hear from them again. They don't know where you live. And I never share information about people on my database. That's one of the other things. When it's the face-to-face events, again, I don't share out telephone numbers, only emails, but I also, again, put myself in the situation of the people there, because as I think we were talking about it, if you go on a blind date and you go to the local kosher restaurant, everybody knows you. And you feel like you're in a goldfish bowl. Oh, look who's she's with. Look who's he's with.
That's the beauty and not so beauty of being Jewish. We are very...
Yeah. So when you're in my home, nobody knows who's there, because even people have come into my home and, my family are either upstairs the kids were doing their homework, or my husband, current husband, he might be out or doing his own work. They don't actually know who's there. So I wouldn't be sharing whose details, who was attending. So it makes it quite private. So you can feel confident that when you come to Denise's kitchen, you are going to meet those guests. And no one needs to know, especially if you're now divorced and you don't want the ex-husband to know about where you've been or other family members. Your private life is your private life, and it stays that way.
On that subject, I mean, do you have, I'm sure you've had it, an ex and another ex. How do you, manage that? Do you make sure that there's no Two
Well,
X.
this is when the application form is always very useful because they write their names. Often ladies change from their married name back to their maiden name, and
That's
that
right.
gets a bit awkward when perhaps they come in. So I had a situation, on several occasions, really, to be honest. One where the surname was the same, and I always confront them. Hello, what was your ex-partner called?
Yeah.
And politely, I said, I'm fully booked. Not that the other one was there. I just said, I'm fully booked. Would you like to come to the next one? And then I had a situation where one lady said, is my ex there? And I said, well, no, I meant my ex-boyfriend. So, well, how would I know who's your ex-boyfriend? So she's told me who he was, and he was booked in. So again, I did actually say, yes, he is booked in, come on another event, because she didn't want to see the guy again. Obviously, it was not a great end to the romance, so that was going to be awkward. With all events, if you go after any single event, you don't get to know in advance who will be attending. But I, I'm a bit
So you
more.
do try.
I do my best. I can't do the Jewish geography and know everybody's surname before they were married or
Marry, yeah.
connections because often people know. But I will often say that I look at who's been before and I look who's attended again. And sometimes meeting the people another time is a positive experience because they are then seeing them again. They're not a stranger. And you could pick
Yeah,
up
and
a
it's easier to have
conversation,
that conversation.
and then you get to begin a start of a friendship. And
Yeah.
that's really nice. And I had a situation where one couple met 3 times in my kitchen, and
Yeah.
they said the fourth time, let's meet somewhere else. And they're still together.
Oh, that's so nice. It's really, I think it's a beautiful thing that you're doing. I mean, at the end of the day, we are in such a, we are, I mean, we're a very big nation and we're global and we're great and we're all, but really, when it comes to this type of stuff, we're quite a small plate bunch of people. And we want to meet Jewish people to meet Jewish people. This is a fantastic way of facilitating that. So I'm really impressed with it.
Well, every Sunday night is Date and Play, unless it's Yom Tov, Denise is working. And with even on the online, I could be abroad or in Manchester or wherever I may be. I can still do the online events.
On the line.
Started then since COVID because people were incredibly lonely.
As I
And
was just going to say, it's not even only about the dating, but you could even meet just a friendship because
yes. So it is about, as I always say, it's about meeting new people, new friends, and hopefully more. And some people just really want new friends as well. You know, you could suddenly be divorced or suddenly be widowed, or all your friends are married, and you don't have any single friends. And this is, I say, a really good place to start. And I've found that, with lots of people that they just need a few, single friends. Their groups are all in couples, and they feel after a while they feel a bit awkward. It's a bit
yeah, they do,
comfortable.
and they don't get invited to places because of this situation. It,
No,
it is awkward. It's
it,
very
it,
awkward.
it is awkward. And here, either way, you're meeting new people, and you can never have too many friends when you're single. And often you change yourself. What you were perhaps when you were married, or perhaps when you're younger. People do change, and they do
I
need.
think if somebody asked me a really interesting question, why did you start the magazine and say the ages so specifically? So I was saying that the reason we've done that is because this age of a woman's life is so full of change. She changes the way she feels about herself. She changes hormonally. There's so much going on in a woman's life that sometimes she even changes her friendships, everything. And it could be a very lonely place. So having a place that a person could meet, I'm saying it now, you're talking about a date, but having any place that a woman could meet and talk openly about things that are bothering her in this age group, which was 35 and over, is an amazing thing because we have certain things that we go through that other people or younger people don't go through that.
Yeah, I say more to them, the different ages that I offer. But coming to my events is not a date. Coming to my event is having an evening out.
Out.
I want to make that very clear.
I
That
think that's a really important thing to bring out because that is what it is. And that's what impressed me about the whole
It's an evening out, or it's an hour online. So the online events are 7:30 to 8:30. The face-to-face event are 7:30 to about 10:30. And as I say, it's a champagne dinner. And so actually, sometimes I do a food quiz where people, I've already made the dinner and there's no cooking involved. And I sort of use that from time to time because some people don't like cooking and they feel a bit uncomfortable doing that part. They'd rather just sit down and eat dinner. So we have a little quiz, and I put two people, the male two groups, and they move around the table and they're answering questions, and it's about food because that's my favorite subject. So it has to be about something I'm good at.
Something that you know the questions for, right?
Oh, well, that anyway. So, but that's also
Yeah.
very enjoyable for people.
Wow, wow. And you do, I think it's also important to say that online, at least, I know that you do it globally. It's not only about London people meeting. I think you should explain that online, at least, it's all over, isn't it? It's all over.
Yes, I have people that connected from Israel and New York and Florida. If they're happy to travel, they're happy to connect online, and that's a lovely way. And I've had quite a few romance stories where people from, London and Manchester and other places. I mean, there's people in Glasgow, and perhaps the only man you probably ever met from the Isle of Man that's Jewish comes along to Date and Play, wanting to meet a shudder.
Wow, wow.
Friends and new people, and it could be a winter's evening, and you've had a real fun evening online.
Look, like you say, loneliness is one of the biggest killers today. It's people don't realize that loneliness creates the most problems mentally, physically, in every way. So having something like this is it's a bracha. It really is. It's a blessing.
Well, especially at the 60s to 70s, especially when it's been bitterly cold this winter. They aren't going to go driving wherever you live. Nobody wants to really go out.
No.
The roads are icy.
Exactly.
The roads are icy. So it's just a really nice thing to know. I've got the 60s to 70s age group coming up Sunday, the 5th of February. And
we'll put the link on the bottom of the show.
It's always good to have new people. And I do get new people. I advertise on Facebook and Instagram.
I think you've gotten through the article that you've written, even.
Yes, we did.
You wrote your article. I'm just gonna. I mean, whoever is watching, because might be. We might not have pictures, but we have a beautiful article from Denise. It's called "Date on a Plate" by Denise, and it just goes into the whole concept of what Denise does, and I think it's amazing.
We had
we also have recipes, which we will be discussing at another date. But I love Denise's cooking. She is such a clear, concise recipe giver. I must say, it always looks good, and it always is so easy to follow. So that is like an amazing thing also.
Wow.
We're coming up to the end of this, and I just really want to stress again about the Date on a Plate. I want you to just give maybe one tip or one thing that somebody would do when they come into one of your gatherings. What would you say to them?
Relax. Be yourself, because that's who you are. Don't try to be someone else. Start being chatty when actually you're not that kind of person. Just be yourself, and you will enjoy yourself. And don't be nervous. That's the other thing. If you can, I can't do this. I haven't done online before, and don't worry about that element. I make it so easy for you. Just click on the link if it's online, or if you come to my house, believe me, I will make you feel as comfortable as if you were.
That's fantastic. I'll tell you one more thing. I mean, I know we don't celebrate Valentine's Day, but this is coming out Valentine's Day. I mean, Jews, for Valentine's Day, the meaning of it is something that we don't celebrate. But the fact that two people meet and could give each other joy for the rest of their lives is something that's really special. So I really, really hope that people take this up and go to Denise's class, and Denise's Date on a Plate evening, either online or in person, And really, she's fabulous. Thank you so much, Denise, for joining. It's been wonderful having you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.